On this episode, we give our Extreme Rules predictions, talk about Emma's recent injury, Charlotte and Natty ending Raw, gossip about Del Rio, the Shining Stars debut on Raw, and more now on Byte That. Hey gang, what's going on? You are listening to episode 143 of Byte That's weekly wrestling podcast, the place where we break down the latest happenings inside of WWE's Squared Circle. Thanks for tuning in and checking out the show. Remember that we are available every single Tuesday night on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Google Play Music Store, and of course, we surpassed 5,300 subscribers on the YouTube channel. That is Byte That Cast, where we have countdowns, a variety of different topics, including a recent video where we're asking for your input. We'll talk about that a little bit more in this podcast. My name is Juan Velas. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and joining me is the full cast as always. From Boston, Massachusetts, we have Ryan Savage.
I thought you were going to drop it. I thought you were going to finally drop it.
It's never going to end.
Yeah, I thought we agreed on this a couple weeks ago.
Well, I brought it back a little bit. Whatever. And, the other guy talking there is from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, Keith Posha. Guys, how you doing?
Doing good. So from now on, you're going to say that you're from the Shining Star of the Caribbean, right? We're clear on that?
Yes. So... especially now, because we are going to talk about them this episode, so I guess it's only fitting that I do that. I don't really dress like they do. I do wear shirts.
Do you smell like flowers?
Well, it's a possibility. I'm not opposed to it.
Do you have weird smile on your face sometimes?
Yes, I do, especially when I talk to you, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, guys, we are here to talk about Extreme Rules, Monday Night Raw. So let's get it. First, this is going to start with Keith. Let's lay it down here. From a scale of 1 to 4, what would you rate the episode of Raw?
I hate you, but honestly, I would give it about a 2.53. It wasn't a great episode of Raw.
2.53?
2.523. But I wouldn't say it was a great episode of Raw. It was good. There was really not too much bad about it. It really got me thinking about all this stock that people put in the fact that it's a go-home show to a pay-per-view. And it made me wonder, does that even matter anymore, really? Especially with pay-per-views being on the network and stuff. How important are go-home shows? Because a normal episode of Raw, if it's a go-home show, all of a sudden everybody hates it, right? It's like, oh, it's not good for a go-home show. Does that even really matter anymore?
It's a tricky topic, yeah, and I would say that to many extents it does not matter, and we actually did talk about that when the network was first announced, where if they want to create this backlog of content, then things may be sort of neutralized a little bit more just for the sake of time. If you're just watching a Raw, it doesn't feel like, oh, I just got to watch the episode of the pay-per-view. Maybe I can just enjoy the Raw on the network. But I do still think that something should happen in that episode that should make you hyped up for not just one match in particular, but have the pay-per-view have more meaning. Because when you have pay-per-views where even the set is the same set as Raw, just with different graphics, do something so that the moment the music plays or the pyro goes off on Sunday night, something about it just feels different, and we don't have to wait all the way to WrestleMania for that.
But with the network, sorry to cut you off, Ryan, but with the network there, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Why is that different than any other week now? You know what I mean? Like every week should be doing that job. Why is there this extra investment on the last one?
No, you're right, Keith. It doesn't matter as much because most people are already subscribed, so they don't have to really sell you on that pay-per-view. A go-home show was a huge deal because it used to try and convince you to spend $40 to $50 on something that coming weekend. Now it's like, oh, you're already subscribed, so it doesn't even matter. And I feel like lately a lot of go-home shows have actually kind of sucked. Like, I wasn't too crazy about this episode of Raw. I don't think it was bad, but it didn't really do much for me either. Like, it was very middle of the road.
So like a 2 out of 4?
Yeah. Oh, no, 4 out of 4, IGN.com, man. But anyway, Yeah, there was a few highlights, but I feel like things with like, Reigns and AJ kind of peaked last week, and there wasn't much left for them to do. I must have missed something.
No, the IGN thing got
The
Keith.
IGN thing got me.
Okay.
It's so rare when Keith just starts laughing.
Yeah, I thought you said something like under your breath to me, and I didn't even notice.
No.
But yeah, what I was saying, like, I feel like, AJ and Roman Reigns, like, that feud peaked last week, and there wasn't much left to do this week,
Yeah, and I guess that's why.
Peaked for build, I should say.
Yeah, and I guess that's why we're going to talk about that in a little bit, where the main event, or the main segment, the last segment, I should say, was between Charlotte and Natty, and that's because, well, what else do you really do with AJ and Reigns? Then at least we did get a Styles Clash onto a chair, which, I mean, cool, I guess. It's not something that looks outstanding. It's a very small drop. I've never been a fan of the Styles Clash. We have talked about that before, but we're going to save all that conversation for the predictions.
Thank you for indulging my little tangent there. It's been burning a hole through me all day.
No, but it is true. You make some good points, sir. But just as a last tidbit about Raw, we did set up a poll on our Twitter, Byte That Cast, after the episode, asking which WWE Raw did you like better. We got 25 votes on this. 8% said they preferred last week's episode, 12% this week's, and 80%, just like Steve Blackman.
Yeah. You see, the problem when you create polls like that is you're really going to skew the results there.
No, if the show is good enough, people won't care about Steve Blackman.
No, they wouldn't. Okay, people will always go for the troll answer if you have it available. So I think you got to do a little bit of better job, Juan, next week for the poll.
I'll try. I'll make sure to add that fourth option just for Keith.
And we should we'll put one up for Extreme Rules at the end of that. Maybe we'll do thumbs up, thumbs down, or no, 1 to 4. It's gonna be 1 to 4, right?
Yeah, exactly. That is our scale. IGN has theirs, we have ours, and now we go from an okay topic to, unfortunately, a sad one. So this injury thing has seriously got to stop, and I feel like I've said that line like 10 times in the podcast at this point. So last week we had Emma bring up Dana Brooke to the main roster. We're like, yeah, this awesome dynamic that was happening at NXT that really got Emma to the next level. This is on the main roster. It's going to be awesome. Emma's out. She has a ruptured disc, and she's going to have to require surgery. This is terrible. Things continue to happen that unfortunately modify the roster. We are getting people back recently like Seth Rollins and John Cena, etc. But in the Divas division, Emma seemed like the one in the Superstars division. Sorry, we're still getting adjusted to this. The female competitors, Emma was like the standout one, where she wasn't in that pack of NXT superstars that came up, Charlotte, Sasha, Becky, etc. And she wasn't in the Bella role. She was in this whole like, you basically failed during your first main roster run. You made something different. Here you are, and now this happens. Ryan, as our resident Emma crying expert, what is your reaction to this?
That is a callback to days gone by. But as far as Emma, she really just has horrible timing with in her career, and it's very unfortunate because she's very talented. I mean, she got called up before she was like the first major NXT woman call up. Really, if you think about it, she was called up before Paige, and she was teaming with Santino, and Santino retired very quickly into that, and her gimmick was never able to get off the ground. And I mean, whether it would ever get over in the first place of her kind of being klutzy or whatever, it worked very well in NXT, but maybe wasn't fit for the main roster. So she ends up getting sent back down, reinvents herself, comes back up and is just about to get off the ground with Dana Brooke, and then immediately gets sidelined with an injury. So she's just been very unlucky, and it's unfortunate. And this also really leaves Dana Brooke out in the cold, because I think her kind of push very much kind of depended on having Emma there, because
they need each other to succeed.
Yes, they definitely need to play off of each other, and Dana Brooke's definitely the lesser of the experienced kind. I worded that horribly, but you know what I'm saying.
we got the point. Yeah,
exactly.
It's crazy how we have Kaz on one end with a similar situation.
Yeah, very
and now Dana.
very similar to that. Although
during Dana Brooks' match, but nonetheless, during Dana Brooks' match, did you guys feel like she felt lost, or it seemed like she was a little like rusty, or really didn't seem like she knew like everything was firing on all cylinders there? Because it seemed very off, especially from her last couple of NXT performances. I wasn't a big fan of the match.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how she's going to fare on the main roster by herself, because a good portion of why her matches worked was because she had Emma by her side, and that dynamic. There is something to we brought it up before. Managers or having somebody by your side, like that they can play to each other's strengths, and that is a missing factor for Dana. And in the match that she had, there was that one spot that happened on the outside where it looked a little bit weird, and not so much on like they missed or something, but just honestly, the female division has been really good as of late, and it's just sort of weird when you go back down to like a level where, okay, so this person's working her way through the roster, especially now that who knows if she was even scheduled to have a lot more one-on-one matches, and now she is forced to do that because they had this storyline happening with Becky Lynch.
Yeah, I mean, we have to keep a lot of things in mind. I mean, it was like basically a year ago, when you made a video talking about how inexperienced she was.
Exactly.
So you can't expect her to, even though she's been training hard, I'm sure that, she's going to be at perfect all the time. And, obviously this is her first, this is the biggest match of her career, basically her Raw match debut. So you can chalk it up to a lot of things, inexperience and nerves and all that. And yeah, exactly. Just the fact that she's kind of on her own is it's going to be a real test. And I'd actually like to see her pair up with somebody else, because, I'm guessing Emma's going to be out for quite a while.
Bring up the Red Queen, baby. It'll be a match made in heaven.
Something's got to happen. The closing thought I want to give is that, as you said, Ryan, about a year ago, I posted a video saying how inexperienced and awkward she looked, and she became one of my favorite things to watch in NXT because of how quickly she adapted, especially her match with Asuka, for example, Asuka, because I know I'm gonna get some call-outs if I pronounce that U there, but I'm hoping that they do give her an opportunity, that she doesn't get sidelined simply because Emma's not there, and that she is at some point the main event player in the division.
And before we move on, I'd just like to say, if you haven't checked it out on the network, go watch the Table for Three with the Four Horsemen. Arn Anderson makes a very, very good point about what he thinks is causing all of these injuries as of lately and why it happens so frequently. It's a very interesting point from somebody that knows what they're talking about, from Arn Anderson. I won't ruin it for you, but it's a very interesting watch.
Can you give us a teaser?
You just want to tease? He thinks it's to do with the schedule. And not in the way that you think.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good teaser.
It's crazy. It's Arn Anderson, so at some point you got to go, hey, this guy knows a little bit more about wrestling. Yeah, so everybody listen to that, check that out on the network, and maybe shoot us a tweet or a comment on the YouTube videos. Now, let's get to the main event of Raw quickly. We had a closing segment between Charlotte and Natty. So they kept playing up to the whole Ric Flair situation. Really surprising how this did close out Raw. They're giving the female competitors a spotlight to not just have a lengthy match, but keep people's interests. Now, I was a little scared because these are the two female competitors that I don't like talking. The moment they talk, I cringe because I can feel the script. There's something along the lines of when you're given a bad script and you don't have it on the hands of a competent actor, it's going to be really awkward. Now, in the ring, no doubt about these female competitors. They're amazing. They're some of the best out there. Now, talking about the microphone itself, what did you guys think about the segment?
It was a total disaster and a really bad call to have this end the show. I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, yeah, like you said, neither of them are excellent on the mic. It's weird because I feel like Charlotte is pretty good in like the backstage segments, but as soon as she's like out in the ring, she gets a little too shout happy and it gets really weird.
Or war starts extending her words.
Yeah, and just the amount of like just awkward pauses and yeah, exactly, feeling very scripted. I don't know, like I don't have an issue with them doing a contract signing, but when this is supposed to end the show on a go home show, if you will, it just doesn't seem like a very good idea. I mean, I can understand if you have a woman competitor who's really strong on the mic and she'll kind of carry the segment. I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, I have no problem with it ending the show, but you had to think that this was almost doomed to fail from the beginning.
Yes, in the first half of the segment. I actually really enjoyed the second half. Like, once Ric Flair got involved and started doing his Ric Flair his Ric Flair things, I honestly enjoyed it. And the fact that Stephanie got a chant at the end of Raw is mind-blowing, folks.
Whoa. I gotta cut you off there, Mr. Ric Flair shouldn't take the spotlight from Charlotte, yet your favorite thing about the segment was Ric Flair, sir. Tell me about that.
He's allowed to call it like segment. He sees it. It was,
as far as the segment goes itself, this whole feud sucks. I'll just start there. It's not it's not good. So at least we got a good half of a segment out of it. It took Ric Flair, Shane McMahon, and Stephanie McMahon to salvage it. So if you separate that from the actual feud going on, it was not bad. And when you put that all together, yes, it still sucks. And honestly, I'm getting to a point where I don't even care if Ric Flair steals the spotlight from Charlotte, because it's getting to that too far gone point.
That's an interesting topic, and the point, I didn't think about it like that, where, yeah, they did put out a lot of their key players. You have Stephanie and Flair out there, because, Shane, lately, he's sort of just there whenever he talks, but Stephanie and Ric Flair, they steal the show, or they are definitely the spotlight. So you have both of them in the main event, Stephanie doing the slap, Flair doing the flop backwards. So crazy things like that. I do think that was enjoyable, but I don't get why Natty almost seemed like the bad guy here, because like the crowd was sort of pro Flair for a good portion. I'm talking about Rick, not Charlotte. But then Natty was just reacting based on what her character is. But then the crowd, you could tell they were a little confused. Like, well, I wouldn't cheer for Flair, but then, Natalya's the good female, so I don't know what was happening there.
That's why we have to get to the whole Charlotte betraying Flair.
Yeah,
and because Flair,
we should have been there already.
I think we're getting there.
And they did reference that in a way. At some point, Flair was talking, and Charlotte said, like, "Hey, give me a second." And even the way she dressed, she's starting to dress like her father. Not literally.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I should have worded that better.
They're planting the seeds for this to possibly happen. And they just have to make her look super evil, and you have to add some sympathy for Flair, and then she'll be the most hated woman. She'll be more hated than Stephanie McMahon, at least for a little while. Because everyone loves Flair.
Do you think that we will see Charlotte elbow drop a sports jacket in 2016?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
That's not like a baby. I mean, that is like a babyface thing, I guess. As weird as it is.
Weird story. I had an Extra Life meeting this Saturday. We were talking about Ric Flair and all that. I decided to elbow drop a part of the table. That was a really solid table. My elbow still hurts. And it was kind of purple.
What did you think to accomplish by that?
I don't know, man. Like, I'm the wrestling guy, and I got carried away, and it still hurts. I thought it was relevant, so I brought it, up. So there's that. Right. Ryan, talk to us about Del Rio, buddy.
All right, so a lot of stuff going on with Del Rio. Since we were on the topic of Charlotte, she actually semi has to do with this. Apparently, Del Rio's been making the rounds in the locker room, and he is now in a relationship with Paige. Apparently, it's been going on for a couple of months. And some news I'd read earlier today from Cage Side Seats said before this whole thing with Del Rio and Paige, Del Rio had a short little fling with Charlotte. And now that Vince has gotten wind of this, we can look forward to another Charlotte Paige angle coming down the pike, because apparently Vince likes when there's real heat between people, he likes to put them in a feud because sometimes it can make for some really good TV.
Ruthless aggression.
So it's basically, I mean, when was Paige and Charlotte feuding? Basically at the end of the summer last year. So now coming back to the beginning of the summer, we're going to get this feud again.
What do you guys think about that when there is real life tension? And obviously a good example is the whole Matt Hardy Edge Lita triangle. But the fact that something like that happens backstage, which is admittedly juicy material when you think about that, like, oh man, they're bringing that up on screen. But once that does happen, does that backstage information really contribute into your enjoyment with that?
It kind of does, to be honest. I mean, that Matt Hardy Edge storyline was pretty intense, right? And then, of course, we know about like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and their animosity towards each other. And those are very iconic feuds if you think about it. And I'm sure there's plenty of other examples that I can't think of off the top of my head. But Vince isn't wrong when it does actually make for some good TV.
At the end of the day, wrestling is just a physical soap opera. So whenever you can add drama in whatever way you can, it's a good thing.
Yeah, especially when the audience knows there's some reality behind it, it really helps you invest into it even more.
I'm just laughing because I'm picturing Vince sitting backstage just waiting for something to break out. It's just like, put that on
He's
TV.
got like an
Put that
alarm.
on.
He's got an alarm in his office that goes off whenever there's drama. There's drama, damn it. Put it on
Like,
television.
what did you think? Like, thinking back to that SummerSlam, it must have been, I think it was the same SummerSlam that was Hogan versus Michaels. What was it, 2005 or 2006 or something? That SummerSlam with Matt Hardy versus Edge, I legitimately thought they were going to kill each other. Like, I did not know. Like, I was actually worried for, like, their safety because I thought they were legitimately going to hurt each other. And, I mean, it was a pretty brutal fight.
Yeah, it is crazy because I remember all the way back to when Matt Hardy, quote-unquote, attacked Edge backstage when it was unplanned. The internet pretty much exploded. Like, how did Matt break in there? It's like, well, people... pretty sure that's illegal. I'm pretty sure that was scheduled to happen, but it was still awesome. You know, something that would be kind of cool is to look back down the road as to the different storylines that were created because of real life events and just sort of compare it. Hey, were they good? Because even that Matt Edge one, it didn't exactly pan out all that great for Matt.
No, it had a really, really hot start, and then it really died after SummerSlam.
And not every example is a good example, let's say, because the one that comes to mind is JBL and the Blue Meanie.
Oh man, fists were thrown in that thing. Yeah. Hey, if we talk about JBL, there's apparently a lot of stories there. But yeah, that is something we should maybe save for like a Square Roundtable or something down the line. Now, there's something else here about Del Rio not being happy with his spot.
Yeah, apparently Del Rio, when coming back to the WWE several months ago, was basically promised kind of a main event spot, and I guess Triple H. These are all news reports. It's dirt sheet stuff. Take it for what it is. We're not.
But it's fun right now.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently Del Rio. Yeah, so he's pissed he hasn't been really in a main event spot, and apparently Triple H is the guy who's apparently kind of like politicking him out of it. I don't know. It's getting very dirt sheety here, but so a lot of people are speculating maybe that's why Del Rio seems to kind of phone it in from time to time. I mean, do you guys get the feeling a lot of times when you see Del Rio come out like he just doesn't care? Like you see this
absolutely.
You see that with someone like with Randy Orton a lot too. He's another good example of like when he's not.
Carlito was an excellent example. Mm-hmm. Not because he's Latino, just pure coincidence.
Yeah, when they're not in a story, when they're not in a really important storyline, you feel like they just don't care.
It's like the oddest thing, though, because with Del Rio, he comes back, annihilates Cena, right? Then gets put into the League of Nations. They break up. But even in this episode of Raw, the League of Nations is not a thing, yet Rusev and Del Rio are still linked. Yeah. So what is exactly happening here?
Del Rio probably beat John Cena faster than Brock Lesnar did, if you think about it.
Yeah, he actually did.
So when you put it into that context, Yeah, I guess at some point as a performer, you have to be mad. What the hell? This happened just a couple weeks ago, and Del Rio is very talented. Like, you know, we've poked fun at all the matches he had with Christian, for example, and even though those happened a lot, you know, almost Shelton versus Carlito levels of repetition, they were still really, really fun matches. So, do you guys think that at some point during this year, I know there's this whole situation with Paige happening, Del Rio is going to rise up in that main event scene, which he is clearly not at right now?
I don't think so. And to be honest, although he is a fantastic wrestler, I don't think he deserves it, because basically I almost never care about a feud Del Rio's in. Usually I'll be surprised and enjoy some of the matches, but the actual feud part with Del Rio, I almost never care about.
Yeah, I agree completely, especially now with this roster and how many people are getting called up and how we have all this new talent. I don't really want to see an Alberto Del Rio championship feud or championship run when somebody else could be in that spot. I think he's a great performer and he'll always have that solid place on the card if he chooses to be there, much like a Randy Orton. But as far as the main feud goes, not really.
The unfortunate thing with Del Rio is that the moment he became the Mexican aristocrat, which was basically from day one, he limited himself, because even though that character is no longer happening on screen, it's still very much the character minus the character. I know that sounds a little weird, but when you really think about it, Del Rio is just sort of there. He is the Mexican wrestler that WWE has, but there's nothing interesting about his character. If anything, honestly, I would say put that Paige Del Rio thing on TV. Like, if you're going to do the Charlotte Paige feud, put that out there. That will make Del Rio way more interesting than he has ever been before.
I completely agree, because one thing I'm just kind of rolling back like in my head and just thinking about Del Rio's career is I feel like to kind of mask his lack of character, they've always just put him in title feuds and stuff. Like, his storyline is always going for one championship or another. Think about
My destiny.
It's like, you know, he's either the champion or he's fighting for a title almost exclusively, minus, you know, the League of Nations thing, which look how great that worked out. If this Paige thing, I mean, you know, they're not the prototypical couple, to say the least. So it could actually be pretty
That's an
interesting.
understatement.
Yeah, to pair, you know, to put them on TV.
You do make a very good point, Ryan, because even when you think back to the glory days of Alberto Del Rio when he was at his peak, he had Ricardo Rodriguez, like when he was at his best. He had
Try that one more time.
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez with him, and that really masked his lack of charisma.
Was there something about their relationship we didn't know?
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No,
Yes, but Ricardo Rodriguez really masked the Alberto's lack of charisma, because he was overflowing with charisma himself.
We're so mature. We're so mature.
Oh, we love it. So that's pretty much all we can say about Del Rio at the moment. And
We've given him like 15 minutes. Let's move on.
Yeah. Okay, context. I love me some 90s TV shows. Sitcoms, that is. So I was really happy this episode because I don't know what is happening. I don't know which WWE writer loves them. But even as far back as The Time Machine, that was a throwback to me for Family Matters with Steve Urkel. I was waiting for like a, did I do that? When
Didn't
we
Big
saw
Cass
Kofi
do that?
Kingston.
Big Cass did it, or something.
We had two Family Matters references. There you go.
Two. That's more references for that show than like the past 10 years. So we got that Time Machine segment with two parts. The first one, obviously, the whole Kofi Kingston thing, Jamaican me crazy. I don't know, for some reason, I marked out when I heard the SOS theme song, just because you guys know I'm a theme addict. I love me some wrestling theme music. So hearing something that we haven't heard in years is just kind of awesome. He did the Jamaican accent. What did you guys think about the whole segment from Kofi all the way down to later the Vaudevillains, you know, doing their shtick?
I actually really liked it. I think this is one of the best things the New Day has done in a long time. Some people it was hit or miss, but I thought it was really funny. The whole Kofi thing was great. And then them just coming out with like the mustaches and the derriere squares and everything.
Oh, the derriere squares were so good.
It's just very original stuff that only the New Day can get away with. And it's great because like they've just turned their characters so ridiculous. They can do whatever the heck they want. And that's a pretty amazing freedom to have. So like, I don't know. I just really enjoyed it.
But that's what's so great about the New Day. I remember making a comment a few months ago how whenever you think the New Day is about to get stale, they really just change everything up and just add a whole new layer or get a little crazier. And I think this was just another piece of that puzzle. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. And I hope they continue to keep doing stuff like this. Like in the last couple of months, we've gotten a giant cereal box, Saiyan outfits, cardboard box, time machines. It's all great.
There's only one question left to ask is, the New Day never made it back. Will they ever come back to present time?
The ticket page out of Fight Night, man. And I know that some people obviously are not fans of these type of segments because they're a little out there. They're a little ridiculous. In a time where cat videos and memes everywhere are a thing, you need to be aware of your surroundings. And the New Day is the most mainstream thing WWE has going on today. You got to think, out of all the segments on Raw, if, Mama Poshik were to share that on Facebook, this is unexpected,
as she does.
Yeah, like, think about that. Realistically, out of any portion of this episode of Raw, what would she probably share? Maybe the time machine. She wants to go back in time. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. It's a fun segment. It's something that even non-wrestling fans can go, hey, that's ridiculous. But guess what? So is wrestling half naked in a squared circle where apparently backstage situations turn into real storylines. So I'm okay with it.
You know what was really great? Those little production additions that they did this show, like when the time machine happened, how the lights went down and it went all funky, and then that background music during the whole Dean Ambrose asylum thing. I love that. I know a lot of people weren't a big fan of it, but I just thought it was just that right level of stupid.
Somewhere out there, Kevin Dunn is crying because he's so happy that someone said that.
We're actually talking about positive things.
No, it was. I did. It's a good time. Like, it was. I think they were happy to finally have an excuse to use weird effects like that,
If someone out there can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was the first time that music was used live during a promo. At least in the WWE,
at
like
least
background
in the
music.
Because TNA did try that. And that didn't
talking
exactly
about the Ambrose.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Ambrose thing. It was so good.
It's probably been done before, but
I also
definitely
just
WWE
love how we totally switched gears, but for that Ambrose thing, I just love how they're showing all the weapons and then they just have a hard shot on the potted plant.
Yeah.
So
like,
good.
oh man, at some point that is going to be the spot of the match. Like, forget about everything else, but we'll talk about that in the predictions. The last thing here, the Shining Stars finally made their main roster return. Because, I mean, they're Primo and Epico. They've been around forever, even though people seem to forget that. But yeah, they showed up and they wrestled jobbers. They wrestled local talent, something that we have not seen on Raw for quite a while. So that seemed a little out there. Their characters are still this traditional bad guy, but they're not really talking negatively about the other places, more so than just, hey, visit Puerto Rico, which we are getting bankrupt. And right now, Uber is, because I know anybody that listens to podcasts, at some point you know about Uber. And there's this whole thing happening about Uber with Puerto Rico that's ridiculous. Just context of the crazy things that are happening. What did you guys think of the pretty short match that they had?
We were just talking about the good side of dumb wrestling. I think the Shining Stars fall on the bad side of the dumb side of wrestling. Their whole justification, like, oh, the ring is our paradise, and that, I thought it was so just straight dumb.
Was that supposed to be like a Puerto Rican accent?
I don't know what that was supposed to be, but it was. I don't like their characters. I don't think it's very strong to build on, but they do have a solid move set. I thought that their in-ring work was good, but I mean, we've known that for years with Primo and Epico, so I don't see them going very far, honestly.
Let me make a bold comparison that it will never live up to. When the New Day started, we had no idea what the hell their gimmick was either. So they're very much still probably going to take some time to figure things out. I think there's some potential with this. It's just the vignettes really told us nothing other than, hey, they love Puerto Rico and they're trying to get people to go there. But how do you turn that into a heel gimmick? I mean, there's a way that they can, they can basically talk up Puerto Rico and trash talk whatever hometown they're in, because they mentioned, oh, these are local, North Carolinians. If they always face, their gimmick could kind of be they're always facing the hometown guy, and if they happen to be in a town where actually one of the main roster members are from, they can do that. But can
how
really
do you build a feud off of that in a business where you go town to town?
You can sort of start with where it doesn't turn, they're facing the jobbers or whatever, you know what I mean? You start with the jobbers so that they could do a different town every week, and then you can kind of go from there. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing stuff at the wall.
You can't even go to the whole anti-America thing, because isn't Puerto Rico part of the States?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. We are a U.S. territory, and it's just weird. I actually appreciate the whole part of the entrance where they reference the ring. If you notice with this new era, or just before it, from the Social Outcast to the New Day, they are doing more things during the entrance. This reminds me a lot of WCW. Whenever WCW happened, they would cut promos during their entrance. That should come back. You're coming down the ramp. Go ahead and do something. So I really do appreciate that. I just don't know at what point do you go, aside from calling the ring your paradise and making all these crazy comparisons, at what point do you make it a thing? Do you try to actually take over the ring because it's your paradise? I doubt it, because they're just a tag team. We know the tier of the WWE, and unlike the New Day, as Ryan very well stated, these are guys that they've had so many different characters, and people forget about that. So it's very easy to go the route of, well, this is the next one they're going to have, and if we go down history, the same thing is going to happen, unfortunately, even though they are talented. So let's give this a week, as always. Maybe they do something at Extreme Rules. I highly doubt it. But Primo and Epico, welcome back for the fourth time to Monday Night Raw. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before talking about balls and predictions, let's talk about a couple things that are happening that are pretty amazing. One of them is that this Friday on the channel, youtube.com, Byte That Cast, we have a special video. This is not a traditional episode of Fight Night. If you want to know what Fight Night is, what is the developing story leading all the way up to our live stream on Friday, June 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, go check out this episode where Ryan and myself, we break down the storyline that is happening, and we also bring up some of your videos and tweets that you sent us, so you guys get to be part of the experience, and there's a chance that we may interview Super Cock in the episode, so I'm looking forward to that. It's a crazy experience, and for the other thing, I'm going to drop this to Mr. McNulty.
Yeah, so this past weekend I put up a video asking about some ideas for some top 10, so we've done some in the past on the YouTube channel about video games and finishers such as that. So we're looking for ideas to do some more of those in more of an SRT format. So if you have any suggestions for top 10s, top 5s, that kind of thing, 5 reasons, you can just either send us an email at bytethatcast@gmail.com, hit us up on Twitter, or you can comment on either one of either this YouTube video or the video that I put up. We are also working out some details to get some merchandise coming down the pike pretty soon. So if you guys have any ideas for shirts you would like to see, you can also let us know that as well.
Yeah, and I know that some people only listen to us on the road, understandably, because of work or stuff like that. We are figuring out different ways that we can sort of unify everything that we are working towards doing. You know, sometimes you do SRTs that we're like, man, that's awesome, but those that listen to us on iTunes, they don't have access to that. We know about that. We know the deal, and we are doing our best to figure out different methods within, you know, the real scope that we have right now, so we can make something like that happen. So any suggestions regarding top 10s, as Ryan said, all of those, as well as our email, bytethatcast@gmail.com, merchandise ideas. We really do want to continue to grow, and we're growing pretty fast. And it is crazy that, once again, you guys really do take your time to listen to three crazy folks, one which maybe was arrested almost at one point in his life, just sort of talk about wrestling and have a good time.
Just once.
Keith, I got a question for you.
Yes.
Do you like lady balls?
I mean, catch me in what, or like, depends on what kind of mood you catch me in.
Greatest segue of all time.
Okay. So, in the archive of weird things that the WWE has trademarked, apparently they trademarked the term lady balls. Now, everybody jumped to the conclusion, and rightfully so, that this is the evolution of tater tots. So instead of calling somebody tater tots, he says, you have lady balls. I really don't know where to go with this. It's like, what do you do with this, Ryan?
Yeah,
what do you do with lady balls?
I don't know. I don't know what this could be for. Maybe is this like Stephanie McMahon's like thing where she's the authority, but she's got lady balls or something. Reddit, Reddit Squared Circle is having a field day. Is this Natalya's next gimmick? So.
What?
Yeah, that was a joke because, she got the farting gimmick and everything.
Oh, right.
So, is this Natalya's next gimmick? Roman Reigns, he likes to talk about people's testicles. Maybe this is the next path for that.
Logically.
I feel like nothing is going to come of this. And maybe they just were like, what could we trademark that would make the internet go crazy?
Lady balls.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add to that, but I felt like it was worth mentioning.
So there was, because I work in advertising, and there was an advertising campaign a while ago involving lady balls, which it was to get seriously, it was for like checking ovarian cancer. It was like show like it I can't remember the exact thing, but it was something involving lady balls, like show your lady balls or get them checked or something like that. It's a real thing, so maybe it's something related to like maybe
the problem is that is not nearly as fun as everything else we talked about.
I understand, but maybe that's, I don't know. It's dumb.
Is this part of dumb. Like this is like an evolution off of their like Susan G. Komen thing?
Maybe.
I mean, it would get people talking. If you go down the street, have you checked out your lady balls? I would be like, man, I don't know, but I should.
Or maybe just WWE's taking a weird turn, because I mean, there's that Extreme Rules commercial with two ladybugs just going to town on each other. Maybe that's the lady balls. Maybe that ladybug. This is for the ladybug.
Oh man, I almost said something. No, Let's just say WWE did get hardcore with that Extreme Rules promo. And those ladybugs may have lady balls. So thank you, Keith, for that.
Just doing my job.
Because, of course, the only logical thing to talk about after balls are the Extreme Rules predictions. So, of course, SmackDown is being taped as we record the podcast, which is every Tuesday night. So, card subject to change, but we are going to talk about the matches that we do know about, not take too long between each one, but give our predictions, maybe our excitement level for it. No scale of 1 to 4 here, just good old-fashioned predictions. So, talking to, or about, I should say, the pre-show master, Kalisto versus Rusev. Who is going to win, ladies and gentlemen? Ryan, Keith, myself.
I would actually like to see Rusev win here. I don't know if it's going to happen, but and it's just a regular singles match. I can see, Yeah, I think Rusev should get the win here. It could really go either way, so I'll just say Rusev.
I agree. I really want to see Rusev win the United States Championship here. I really like how they've built Rusev in the last couple of weeks, especially last night where he basically just kicked Kalisto's head off. It was great, and I hope he gets the win.
I agree. Kalisto, as much as I was looking forward to his run, has done nothing with the title. Of course, this is not a conversation about what's wrong with him, but more so what they really do with him. Same thing with that airplane going by. But ultimately, Rusev should become champion and do something with the championship. And that's probably going to lead to John Cena, which honestly, I am kind of okay with. Now up next, fatal four-way match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. The Miz defends against Kevin Owens, Cesaro, and Sami Zayn.
Somehow I think The Miz is going to still sneak away with the title. And that I don't really actually have much else to say about it. I think the feuds will kind of split off after this.
You know, I'm going to say Cesaro walks away with this one. I think this match is going to be the match of the night. It's going to steal the show. And I think Cesaro is going to get the W.
I agree with Mr. Savage. I believe that The Miz does need to retain because Zayn versus Owens is now going to be built up for SummerSlam, rightfully so. That is going to be the feud I'm looking forward to the most. Cesaro, as much as it would be cool to see him as champion right now, I have no idea what they would do. I mean, anything's possible. He can have maybe a shock victory, but...
Have him feud with The Miz. Have Zayn and Owens take each other out. Owens gets mad at Zayn because, he cost him his title again. He needs to permanently remove Sami Zayn from the situation. They take each other out. Cesaro beats The Miz, wins the title. There you go.
That does sound good, but I'm still going with The Miz, sir. Although you made a good argument. Okay, so tag team match for the WWE World Tag Team Championships. The New Day, Big E, Kofi, and or Xavier Woods defend against the Vaudevillains, Aiden English and Simon Gotch.
I'm going bold here. I think the Vaudevillains are gonna shock the world, and I think they're gonna win the titles. And I think this would be a very good win for the Vaudevillains because they've had a nice mean streak since the whole, they've really kind of turned a negative into a positive with the whole Enzo thing. And I think they need to keep that up. And if they beat the New Day and win the titles, I really feel like that will legitimize them in the eyes of a lot of people and, let the audience know that these guys are relevant and matter. And, even if you take the title away from them in a couple months, they'll fare a lot better because of it.
I just don't want the New Day to lose the titles yet. I'm going with my heart on this one. They just can't lose it yet, and I want the New Day to win. Keith. It makes sense for the Vaudevillains to win at this point. I think every point you brought up is very valid, but I just don't want it to happen yet. Yeah?
I'm going against you, buddy. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I understand.
I do think it's time for the Vaudevillains to win because they have this weird Blake and Murphy thing that happened in NXT where they're there, but they're not the main focus, and a lot of people don't see them as the main attraction. But honestly, they've been doing really good, especially Simon Gotch, with his facial expressions and a lot of the things that they've done. I like their mean streak. I like the change that they had from NXT to here because I was not a big fan of them in NXT. So the fact that did change in a short amount of time makes me really happy. So I think that winning the titles, what?
Quick thing about the Vaudevillains.
Go for it.
One thing I'm not crazy about, and let me know how you guys feel about it, is I don't like the little cutesy intro part of the theme. I kind of wish it would just go into the dark part of their theme song. You know what I mean? Isn't it too lighthearted at the beginning?
I would change it to a Transylvania, dark, ladies and gentlemen, are you all prepared to witness the devastation
blah,
of the
are you
evil?
Prepared? Blah. No, I think it's fun.
No. Fun. Keith, you and I are just disagreeing tonight, man.
I know.
What's going on? Usually
it's
the other way. Oh, whatever, man. I disagree with you. So I'm going with the Vaudevillains. Now let's go with this match right here. No DQ. Dolph Ziggler.
.com.
That too. versus Baron Corbin. Who's going to win, people?
For the love of God, I think Baron Corbin needs to win. Nobody expected Ziggler to get that win at Payback. So Baron Corbin definitely needs a strong win. So I fully expect that.
Agreed. But I think this match is going to be more about the performance than the outcome. As long as they have a really good match, I think it'll be just fine, no matter who wins. But I do hope Corbin...
Though it would very much hurt Corbin if he lost 2 pay-per-views in a row already to Dolph Ziggler, who isn't... Like, losing to Dolph Ziggler, as good as Ziggler is, just doesn't really look good on you the way Ziggler's stance is in the company, you know what I mean?
That is true, but even if... Like, long-term, I don't think a loss really hurts Corbin as bad as you think it's going to, even though I do think he should win.
I agree. I believe Corbin will win, but if there's any match where Ziggler can pull out a second win, it's this one. It's no DQ, so they can go all around. Like, it's justifiable, right? It's almost like Lesnar-Ambrose. You know the outcome. It's just a matter of the content, what happens in the match itself. And even though the three of us agree Corbin should win and has to win, honestly, at least for me, I've said honestly too many times this episode. I believe
honestly, you have.
Yeah, I really have, honestly. So I believe that Ziggler does have a good shot at becoming victorious. Now let's go with the match that I am most intrigued by, the Asylum match. So it's not enough that we have Eric Young and all these TNA people show up. Now we're going back down memory lane. Now we have the Asylum match, almost some Clockwork Orange House of Fun match stuff happening right here.
Okay, it wasn't
Raven
just me, because that's immediately what I thought of when that cage came down.
Raven teared a little when he found out that this is going to be a match, but they can't bleed. I can't confirm that. I'm just, really just speculating here. Who's going to win between Ambrose and Jericho?
Guess what, guys? We're going to the Ambrose Asylum, Michael. We actually get to see the Asylum, and it looks just like a steel cage with a bunch of weapons hanging over it. This should be a fun match. I don't know how great it's going to be. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like pinfall and submission only, right?
Yes, he did make a point that you can't escape.
Yeah, like escape doesn't matter.
So it's a mini Hayek.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know, is there like, if they do the whole door, since escape doesn't matter, then we won't have all that door crap with the referee opening the door. So this is kind of the rules we've wanted for a steel cage in a while, where it's like, just stick to one stipulation. So that actually might make it pretty good. I think Dean Ambrose has to win here. It's his match. Although I feel like a lot of times in wrestling, whoever's match it is, they always seem to lose it. But if Ambrose
Punjabi
can get...
prison says hi.
Yeah, Ray Conley didn't even compete in the first one, I think, right?
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, I would like to see Ambrose get the win, and then, his great heel work as Jericho's been doing, I think he needs to step away for a while after this.
Old Yeller, man.
Exactly. Take old Jericho behind the barn. But I don't think this will be a great match, but I do think it'll be a fun match. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out. I think Ambrose will get the win. He should, because it's the Ambrose Asylum. It's his own match. And it'll be fun.
Ambrose has lost a lot of high-stakes matches, so he better win the very match he's in some ways creating. I don't think it's going to be a great match. And because of what happened at WrestleMania with Lesnar, I'm very skeptical to even get my hopes up for an Ambrose match, because I don't want to be let down. So my expectations here...
I think there's a very big difference between this match and the Lesnar match, in the way that even if you notice all of the weapons that were put above the ring, they're all very hokey, very fun weapons. It's not just a pile of steel chairs. So I think they're going to take more of the fun aspect of it than just two guys beating the living hell out of each other.
I was actually going to say, this match can go two directions, and it's obviously leaning towards one. They could go the brutality direction to really kind of show the toughness of Dean Ambrose, or they can go to the side of Dean Ambrose that I feel like a lot of people don't like, which is the really hokey Ambrose. And I mean, obviously you get a potted plant up there. There's going to be some hokiness. If they overplay that, though, I think that's really going to kill this match, because this is an opportunity to right some of the wrong that they did with Brock Lesnar and actually show Dean Ambrose to be a tough bastard instead of just like laying down like he did, or just going to the kind of comedy bits where he's, coming in a cop car or the hot dog cart and he's shooting people with ketchup and mustard. Like, let's show this guy is crazy in a brutal way.
That Dean Ambrose is long gone, Ryan.
Yeah, feels bad, man.
And also, they will overplay that. So everything you just said, you're not going to like it.
Yeah, probably not.
But the three of us agree Dean Ambrose should and may come out victorious. Up next, submission match for the WWE Women's Championship. Ric Flair is banned from ringside, and if he does show up, Charlotte will lose the championship. Charlotte defends against Natty. Who is going to win?
Charlotte is going to win. They're not going to give it to Natty.
Agreed.
Yep. Not a lot else can really be said about that. Considering
I will say one thing:
about
it's nice to see a submission match. It's been a long, long time since we've seen one of those, so I am happy to see this stipulation.
All I'm hoping out of this, do whatever it is you want in the match. Give it whatever amount of time. But if it's going to be a submission match, please work towards the submission. I hate that wrestling has become like, your finisher's a sharpshooter. Doesn't matter what you do after. Just do the sharpshooter. It's going to be over. Like, work up to it. Work to the lower back or work with the legs for the figure eight. Do something so when that submission is applied, it really means something for me as a fan, because that is a lost art, sadly, that should honestly come back, because I love me some submission finishers when they actually work up towards them.
Agreed.
Now it is time for the main event. Extreme Rules match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Roman Reigns, accompanied by the Usos, battles AJ Styles, accompanied by Gallows and Anderson. Mr. Savage, what's up?
Not too much, man. What's up with you?
It's doing good. Just talking about wrestling here.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns is going to win this match. And maybe we'll see a little bit of Finn Balor. I feel like I feel like the club is going to betray AJ, and that is going to lead to AJ's loss here. And it's probably going to be Finn Balor.
I don't think we're going to see the thing happen that everybody wants to happen in Balor. I don't think it's time yet. I think the club will cost AJ the match, but it will be by accident. Like, maybe they're going for a chair shot and Roman moves out of the way. But I don't think it's payoff time yet, but I do see Roman Reigns walking out as the winner.
It's so obvious that Reigns has to win that I need to go with AJ. There's something about this match that has me going like, they can't, aren't they going to be that straightforward with just SummerSlam is around the corner? Damn it.
Yes.
Well,
yes, they are.
I guess I got nothing else to say.
But know that you're bold and stupid.
But it's true. I do believe there's a chance. This is my Kevin Owens Bray Wyatt thing. This
is like your Dumb and Dumber moment where it's like 1,000,000 to 1. So you're saying there's a chance.
There is a chance. There really is a chance.
There's a chance that Roman Reigns gets struck by lightning and has to forfeit the title.
Hey,
there's a chance that Heath Slater ends the night as champion.
Ryan, are you part of the club?
Which club?
Well, the Byte Club, but what about Pete's Club?
I am a part of that club.
Well, at least we have that. But honestly, and damn it, I said it again, there is a strong possibility because how? Like, what I don't get it.
You can't. No.
Okay,
no.
here's
a somewhat maybe possibility.
Here's the deal. I don't see a scenario where Roman retains and Finn Balor just shows up. And I'm not saying he shows up at Extreme Rules, but why does he show up? I have no idea. Because keep in mind that the next NXT TakeOver special happens on June 8th. So that's only a couple of weeks away. And I think that if you have Reigns as champion, there's not a lot you can go about there. As opposed to AJ being champion, Anderson and Gallows are like, man, that's awesome, good. You'll wait till after TakeOver, bam, he shows up, takes over, or even shows up the week like that Monday Night Raw before TakeOver, because he can say, like, I'm going to take this title soon, and on Wednesday, you can watch me take the NXT title back in a cage match with Samoa Joe. Not a spoiler, by the way, because WWE did officially confirm that on their website, so that is going to be the main event, which I'm looking forward to, but AJ's going to win. I'm sticking by that, and I'm hoping that I have a big-ass smile next episode.
Dun, 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 dun.
You
no
probably
way.
won't, but
Jose, no way, Jose. It's not
Jose Day
happening.
was
no,
a thing.
I think Keith makes I actually agree with Keith more than I agreed with my original point, in that it's most likely going to be Gallows and Anderson that cost him in some way the match, whether it's by accident or subtly they do it on purpose, and they pretend it's an accident. On some level, they're going to cost him the match, because you're right. It really doesn't make sense to have Finn Balor come up at this point in time. They really have to work towards it.
Yeah, they really do. So that has been our Extreme Rules predictions. Everybody listening or watching on the YouTube channel, either drop a comment or send us tweets by that cast with some of your speculation, your predictions. We'll make sure to retweet those on the road to the show on Sunday. Now, the real main event this year, we got the predictions out of the way, but we are now going to bring up a couple of your questions. Remember, you can send them over to bythatcast@gmail.com, bythatcast on Twitter with the hashtag AskBT, or if you're listening to us via YouTube, just drop a comment on the latest podcast episode. We were getting a lot of questions. It was actually kind of crazy this week, so unfortunately, we cannot get to all of them, but Keith will do his best to select and just unleash the questions the way Ryan has unleashed his artistic portrayal on the channel.
Indeed. So, Juan, take me down to Question Town, because our first question comes from Christian W., who asks, when Rollins returns, how would you book him? World title feud? Triple H feud? How would you guys do it from a fantasy booking and a logical WWE standpoint? Thanks for the great work. Keep it up.
Thank you, sir.
It's kind of tough because it really depends. Is he going to come back as a babyface or a heel? I feel like we need heels right now. We need some top legitimate heels. So I feel like Rollins should probably come back and act like he's, helping Roman Reigns or something. And then he should betray him immediately. And then get into basically finish what they started, which is the Reigns-Rollins feud.
Oh man, you just gave me an outstanding idea, sort of piggybacking the one that Keith brought up last week, where you bring up back Rollins, and he's like the ultimate babyface. You have your SummerSlam match either against the Club or whatever the bad guy, the opposing force is, and at the end of the match, he does it again. Because of his personality totally does lend to that whole thing of, seriously, guys, you trusted in me again? I did this to you before. I'm doing this to you again. It's hilarious. It goes with the character. And that, my friends, is how you build up a bad guy.
Yeah, it needs to be like that. Was it the 2002 DX reunion where they did that one match and then Triple H turned on him immediately?
With a hell
it's
of a
going to be
pedigree.
like that.
You know what? I love that. I'm just going to go with your answer because that sounds freaking incredible.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It is hilarious, and it makes sense. It puts him back in the spot.
I can hear Seth Rollins in my head with his laugh, and you trusted me?
This happened
great.
again. He actually plays a replay on his phone. This happened a couple years ago, man. You didn't get the memo? I was going to do it again. So that is our speculation. By the way, just as a quick side note, we do get a lot of questions regarding fantasy booking and all that stuff, and we always appreciate that. If you guys would like us to work on that in a different platform, be it on the channel or something, let us know, because it's a lengthy topic, and it's hard to obviously answer something like that in 2 to 3 minutes, so that's why we tend to not bring those up as often, because we want to make sure we give you a kick-ass answer, not just a quick get out of the way. But Rollins at SummerSlam, that better happen, otherwise I may cry a little bit.
Indeed. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Terrence J., who asks, if you could make a show on Raw or SmackDown like Miz TV or the Highlight Reel, what would you call it, and who would be your first guest?
It's kind of tough for me to think of something because I'm actually not a huge fan of those types of shows, the Miz TVs and the highlight reels. I really don't have a good name.
Want me to take over meanwhile?
Yeah. I'm answering this horribly.
Yeah, so I would take my second last name and I would name it Juan's Accord because, well, what the hell, right? It only makes sense. And that my first guest or panel of guests would be all the failed interview segments on Raw. So I would bring up a Christian. Yes, I know they were kind of fun, but let's be honest. There's been a lot of cringeworthy ones out there. And my one question would be why? I wouldn't go into a deeper talk. I would just repeatedly say why. Like, you all guys realize this doesn't work out, right? Like Carlitos Cabana, you have the Peep Show, the Cutting Edge Peep Show, the Cutting Edge. You guys are not Roddy Piper. So stop. And I would just take a piece of newspaper and hit him over the head with it.
Do you deliver a sentence at the end of it? Like you're sentenced to like 2 years in kayfabe jail?
Possibly. Or I just keep asking why until we go to commercial break.
Fair enough. I think mine would be called Keith's Crazy Club. I'll let you figure out the spelling on that one.
Oh my God.
And my first guest would be Simon Dean, and I would educate people about the Simon system.
I'm so disappointed.
Why do you keep going back to the Simon system?
I don't know.
Why did you not name it Keith's Poo Shack?
Because that'd be too easy.
Or I thought it'd be Keith's Corner or something. All right, I guess I just call mine the Ryan Show because I suck at coming up with an original name. But I don't know if you ever guys saw like the Chris Farley show on like SNL when he used to interview people. I would just do that. You get like Triple H. I'd be like, you remember that time when you pedigreed Roman Reigns? He's just like, yeah, and I'm just like, that was awesome.
I would kind of love that.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Wolves19861, who asks, given the amount of wrestlers in the women's division right now with all the call-ups and the already established talent on the roster, do you think a women's tag team championship should be introduced? And which women would you like to see team up?
It's a similar question that we've had in the past couple of weeks because, understandably, the women are getting more exposure. I mean, they main evented Raw. They closed out Raw, right? So that means a lot. Emma and Dana would have been perfect for this. Like, if they ever had a tag team title like that, I think it's tough because we are used to thinking if these two are together, at some point they're going to turn on each other. And we have enough trouble keeping the tag titles for the males relevant in a way that people care, because even though the New Day is entertaining, honestly, they're terrible champions. Like, they're entertaining champions, but when you really think about the context of like fighting, defending champions, making the championship
How are they
relevant.
terrible? They defend it like every pay-per-view.
But you don't like the New Day because they're the champions. You like the New Day because they're the New Day.
I disagree with you guys. I think they have the whole WWE tag team champ. Like, they always emphasize that they're champs, even in their intro and everything, and they defend it every pay-per-view. I think there's nothing wrong with their tag reign.
I'm not saying they have a bad reign, but I think that as standalone champions, it's like, well, they reference everything that they have, so it's kind of like, well, I mean, they had the titles, but they would easily lose the titles and be the exact same people. I don't think the championship changes who they are, is I guess the point that I'm trying to make, as opposed to, like, if the Primetime Players ever, actually really had like a lengthy title reign, like if the Shining Stars became champions, you would hope that something changes. And in the tag division and in the U.S. title scene, that doesn't happen. So I would not like to see a women's tag team title happen because I'm afraid that would happen. But definitely, if it were to happen, Dana and Emma. No questions asked.
Would you say the New Day doesn't have a good reign or a bad reign, but they have the reign?
All right, I'm actually going to answer this question now. In an ideal world, I think that it would be perfect. But like you said, Juan, they don't always do a great job of even handling the male tag team division, never mind the female division. There's a lot of women that just sit on the sidelines until it's their turn to feud for the women's title, and then they F off for a while until they are called upon again. So the tag team titles would be perfect because it gives at least 4 women something to do in the meantime.
Very true.
While the women's title's going on. And never mind the fact when you have multi-tag team feuds, that lets even more women stay relevant on the roster. But it's a matter of, can you make all the women you want to involve feel important? Can you make the titles feel important? It's a tall order, but it could definitely, if it was done right, it would actually be extremely good for the division. And I think that's the next step, but you really gotta build up. You got to build from where you're at now. I think they're a little ways away from it. But like you said, if, Emma and Dana Brooke would have been a great start to that, that really derails it if they were thinking about starting it anytime soon. But definitely a great idea down the line. It's just they're a little far away from it at this point.
Well put.
Yeah, I agree. And especially considering that they're moving towards 2 women's segments a show or 2 women's matches a show. You can have the singles feud and the tag feud. As far as who I would like to see have those women's tag team championship belts, even though they're not on the roster yet, I think the perfect team would be Eva Marie and Nia Jax.
Ooh, man.
Just have Nia Jax be the heavy, Eva Marie take the glory. It'd be such a good dynamic. I think they're incredible down in NXT.
Somewhere out there, people are throwing garbage at their phones if they're listening there.
But all hail the Red Queen, baby. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from TMK Tanner, who asks, if a tree falls down in the forest and no one is around to hear it, is it still more entertaining than the Usos?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, there's no question. Yes.
Because I'd be curious, what about the tree? Why did it fall? Who cut it off? There would be death to the thickness of that tree.
Is it more entertaining? Maybe, but am I more interested in it? Yes.
Very well said.
Real talk. Out of anybody in the current roster, I just cannot care at all. At all. And they're highly talented in the ring. I don't care
and
about
they're
them.
Actually, they're pretty funny on Total Divas and stuff. They really just need to emphasize who they are, because it's really, they're like characters from the Star Wars prequels. Like, if you were to ask, if you were to describe the Usos without saying any moves that they do or what they wear, what could you tell me about Jimmy or Jay Uso? What's their personality?
Is Roman Reigns Jar Jar Binks?
I don't know.
Keith is just sitting there thinking.
I'm thinking, could I, other than their Roman Reigns is basically sidekicks, I don't think you could.
Yeah, who, is Jimmy the funny one? Is Jay the funny one? Who's the serious one?
Answer
is
that right now.
What can you tell me about their actual personality?
You know what I can tell you? Super kicks.
Yes, super kicks and outside dives.
Indeed. So when I say oos, y'all say don't care. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Hayden F., who asks, how the explicitive do you get through exams? So non-wrestling related. We've all done the whole college thing.
Yes.
How do we do exams, folks?
I usually winged it a lot of the time and just did okay. There was a few that I had to really study for, like accounting classes and stuff. I was a business major. So yeah, I don't know if you're talking about high school or college, but anyway, in college, most of the time, I'm not a good studier. I just try and absorb as much as I can, and then, just kind of breeze through some notes and then wing it and hope for the best. And I usually did okay.
Yeah, same. With the exception of math, I was pretty good at my classes. In my case, with high school, I had pretty good grades. With college, it was different because my classes as a production major, they were more so, I don't know how to say it in English, but, they were more on the scene.
Pass, fail?
No, more like, active work. Like you perform the work as opposed to really,
it wasn't an exam, it was a project.
Exactly. Yeah. So I had voiceover classes, I had film, script writing classes and stuff like that. And, you really either have it or you don't, because either you do the task properly or it just doesn't happen. So it's a matter of really put yourself out to it, because there are some topics that you don't care about. Like, for example, for me in college in math, dude, holy crap, I would have failed that class if I didn't have a friend that really helped out, because I was terrible at statistics, and it was horrible. And people legitimately cried during that class.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
Actual tears.
So what I did, and this is about the opposite of what you should do, is just cram the night before. Stay up all night.
Every time, yeah.
Just whatever will fit in your brain, put it in there, and go from there. Don't do that, kids.
So Byte That's advice, according to us, is wing it, study the night before, or just do it on the scene.
Yes. Maybe
Sounds
don't
good.
ask us that question. So thank you for it. Our next one comes from Kisareth Studios on Twitter.
Game developers.
Game developers, that's crazy. That's awesome. Thank you for listening. But they ask, do you think Vince McMahon is souring on Roman Reigns due to his inability to get over? And what do you guys think of WWE, editing the crowd?
I think Vince is stubborn as all hell, so I don't see him. He never soured on John Cena, and I think it's going to take a lot for him to ever sour on Roman Reigns. As far as WWE editing the crowd, it's just all of that just reminds me that, like, it just reminds me of like a dictatorship or something, where it's like WWE is like the overlord, and it's just like they're spreading their propaganda.
This
and
is
they
their
don't
message.
they don't want you to see anything else besides what they want you to see. And in turn, all that does, because we're not stupid, is makes us want to rebel against it more. The more you edit Roman Reigns, we're not stupid. We know it's happening. It just makes us want to dislike him even more. Even if Roman Reigns was great, if you're doing that for somebody, it makes your audience mad, because we don't want to be told what to think. It's like you're telling us what to think. You're not making it our choice. And when you do that, it's just you're turning us away.
Really good answer there. As far as the first question, I think some people think that because they have this neutral ground with AJ and Reigns that they are souring. To me, it does seem like a happy medium where they pitch the idea that maybe Reigns, as just a flat-out good guy, isn't working. Let's develop this neutral ground, hope something changes, and we'll adjust as according.
Maybe Reigns as a good guy isn't working. Maybe Reigns as a bad guy isn't working.
No.
But Reigns as the guy.
Exactly.
No.
So in the next video game, we're not going to have, clean or dirty. We're going to have clean, the dirty, and just the as the third option.
Only Roman Reigns is going to get the.
Exactly.
Heel face the guy.
Exactly. So what do I think of WWE editing the crowds? I've never been a big fan of it, but at the same time, and I'm not here to justify their actions, I do think that at some point, some crowds just want to take over, and they do ruin the experience, because we've had scenarios where in the women's segment about a month and a half ago was a really good example, where you have something really good happening, delivering what you want, the crowd doesn't care. They're throwing out beach balls and stuff like that. So at some point, there are specific things that are maybe offensive that the crowd is doing, not caring about the segment, even though it is good, then maybe. But I do think the organic portion of the crowd should never be ignored, and sadly it is, especially on SmackDown.
Agreed. And yeah, to the souring point, I don't think that's happening at all. It's just being able to adapt to the situation. Like, hey, Roman Reigns isn't working as a clean good guy. So how do you make Roman work and still have some people like him, or at least teeter back and forth? Because even us, we have those weeks like, oh, I kind of liked what happened with Roman. The fact that we even say that makes Roman Reigns not a complete failure at all. It fluctuates, definitely, but it's not like a definitive thing. As far as the editing the crowd, I hate it. I think there is a time and a place, like Juan mentioned, especially when it comes to crowds trying to hijack the show itself. But when you can audibly hear the crowd slowly being muted as Roman Reigns is coming out, I think that is a serious issue. Just let it happen naturally. Like, did that happen back in the day with John Cena? I don't think so.
I don't think they ever edited the crowd.
Yeah, they kind of just powered through it.
Yeah, and for a long time, John Cena had most of the crowd support. We compare the situations a lot, but John Cena was very well liked for quite a while, and it wasn't really like only the smart cities started to boo him for many years until it really like caught on with everyone. And I think, things like Twitter and stuff becoming becoming like the platform for, wrestling fans all over the world to talk to each other really expedited that process. And
Absolutely.
Now, especially with someone like with Roman Reigns, but it was a much, much slower process with John Cena.
And I mean, they have been doing it for years on SmackDown. It's just they've been doing it recently on live shows. So I guess that's really the only difference. So it's really nothing new.
Yeah, just as a quick tidbit, I was looking up information to see maybe we can get an idea of when they did start editing. Apparently, for SmackDown from day one, they started editing crowd noises. And funnily enough, the crowd audience that was piped in was from earlier episodes of Raw that were taped, and they would use that for crowd reactions for SmackDown, which it makes sense because the crowd reaction back in the day was audibly very present. People were very vocal, so you maybe want to reuse that for SmackDown. So yeah, SmackDown from day one, apparently can't confirm, but a lot of information's here. Raw, they do seem to be experimenting with more so now than ever before.
It's pathetic that they have to do that. That's one thing I'll say.
Yeah.
And they have to do it for SmackDown, because I've been to SmackDown and nobody gives a shit. Okay.
Indeed.
Poor SmackDown.
Poor SmackDown. So thank you for the question. Our final question of the show comes from the cynical Cypher, who asks, what's your favorite dessert?
Key lime pie. Key lime motherfucking pie. I love, oh my God, I love me some pie. Do you love pie, Ryan?
I do. Actually, I usually have key lime yogurt for breakfast in the morning, and it is quite good.
You're a good person.
Yes. As for my favorite desserts, I would have to go with, I'm sure a lot of you have a Cheesecake Factory nearby. Cheesecake Factory's white chocolate raspberry cheesecake is so freaking good that I recommend everyone try it because it is amazing.
It is good. I have tried it. It is quite sexy.
Favorite dessert?
You don't like sweets too much, right?
I'm not a big sweets person, but man, can I go to town on some ice cream. Now that I'm thinking about it, a pumpkin pie blizzard from Dairy Queen.
Oh
I
my
could just
God.
devour that thing. It's
pumpkin
so
pie is
good.
my favorite second thing. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I'm sorry to anyone who's hungry and is listening to this right now.
I'm hungry listening to this. I'm on a lactose-free diet. I can't have any of this right now. This is torture.
It's hell.
I may cry. Oh yeah, Keith and I are both in strict diets
Yeah,
right now.
screw you guys. I'll eat all that shit.
Oh man, but thank you to everybody for the questions. It's always good to pile in a couple of random ones like the tree one, the dessert one. It is about the community. It really is, as we jokingly said earlier, about the Byte Club. We want to make sure that everybody has a good experience, has a good time. So get your questions in every week. We try to get as many as we can fit in there. Extreme Rules happens this Sunday, and hopefully Mr. McNulty or somebody in the Byte That family will be providing a full review of the show after the show. So the show after the show is us. So you're our resident Renee Young, Ryan. You would not look good in a skirt.
There you have it. Back to you.
Oh my God. No. So talk to me about the closeout of the podcast, Ryan.
All right, so about that, the closeout, you threw me off guard there. But thank you guys for listening to another edition of the Byte That podcast. Some quick things I want to get out of the way, though, before we let you guys go. Do not forget about our stream coming up June 3rd for the season finale of Fight Night. We're going to be, it's going to be June 3rd, Twitch TV /Byte. That's going to start at 6 p.m. Eastern. We're going to show all of Season 2 and then show the premiere of the Season 2 finale. And then, of course, it will be up on the YouTube channel, later that night. But you want to be there live, and it'll be a great discussion. Everyone who enjoys the show, we can all, talk about it leading up to the awesome finale. Also, as we mentioned earlier in the show, you can check out my video asking for ideas about top 10s and merchandise. So you can head over there, check that video out, and leave your ideas in the comments section. Well, I almost said selection. That's weird. And yes, Extreme Rules, obviously this Sunday, I will be putting up my review following the show, so look out for that, giving my initial take. And then, of course, we'll go into more detail about Extreme Rules and Raw on the podcast next Tuesday. And, of course, social media, Twitter, Byte That Cast. You can send us an email at bytethatcast@gmail.com. We are on Facebook at Byte That Cast. And you can check out our Instagram as well at Byte That. So thank you guys for listening. We will see you next week.